Hello friends, let's discuss current affairs in the world of politics, economics and banking. I remember from the previous session that we would discuss, I told you that we would discuss Cuba, the Communist Party system in Cuba. We'll look at, I said we will look at what the Americans had done in this part of the world. So this is a question that I reproduced from the previous session, the same question, nothing's changed except that I have added a map. Raul Castro, it's a Spanish name, so when you pronounce Spanish names, you need to suppress A in the mouth. Castro, you don't say Castro, we say Castro, pure English. Castro is the right way. Raul Castro has confirmed, he has passed on his Communist Party leadership to a new generation. Castro is from Cuba. Now, in the Communist Party, the most important position is that of Secretary General, or some people call it General Secretary. Now, this guy is the head of the Communist Party. In any country where the Communist Party is the ruling party, and remember this, in a typical communist country, there is only one political party allowed. That's a Communist Party. Okay, in that country, whoever is the head of the Communist Party automatically becomes the most powerful person in that country. The president is one step below the secretary of the Communist Party. Okay, if you look at Vietnam, it's a case. Okay, you look at China, that's the case. But in China, Xi Jinping is both the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party plus the president. So is the case in Vietnam. But when it comes to Cuba, the Secretary General of the Communist Party is Raul Castro. He just stepped a step down. But before that, he was just he was Secretary of the Communist Party. And the president was someone else. In the previous class, I had given you some basic details. Okay, let me repeat what I told you. Who is the Prime Minister? Cuba's president, capital is Havana. President is Miguel Canel Diaz. Now. Let me tell you a story now. This is Cuba. You can see this is Cuba here. Okay, this island, and this is United States. Now, the same thing here, Cuba in the inset map. This is the West Indies, and this is South America. Where I have brought the entire Americas in this particular three-set map. Let me tell you a story now. Okay. I think we do not have adequate space, so what I would do now is to add I'll delete this, okay, add one slide here. Okay, now when I would add a slide, remember one thing, the idea is to give you, the idea is to give adequate, I mean nothing more than that, basically, one more slide. It is to do with the fact that I want to write some notes. Nothing more than that. So duplicate slide, I'm trying, and delete this entire thing here. And so here we get. I wanted to use Control M, but anyway. See, Cuba was, a pro-United States, pro-US country till 1959. Okay, in 1959, on January 1st 1959, Fidel Castro led a communist revolution, defeated, in fact he overthrew, in fact it was a coup, it was a military coup, and it was a war actually. In that war, Fidel Castro defeated the then, president named Fulgencio Batista. Okay. Now, those of you who watched WWE, you would know who's Batista. There is this fighter from, I think is from Argentina. Okay, but then That Batista is different from this Batista. So this guy was pro-United States, and Fidel Castro threw him out. He led the communist revolution. In this, the main agenda of the people, the communist movement in Cuba was very simple. He wanted to turn Cuba into a communist country because he believed this man had sold his country to the interest of the United States. Batista and his Chamchalok were hardcore corrupt. They were deeply corrupt. They had sold their country's interest to the interest, to the highest bidders from the capitalist world. Now, this man, Fidel Castro, was a communist. Let me bring in keywords. Okay, communist. See, in a communist country, to repeat, what is communism now? Communism is a political philosophy which advocates for the establishment of a single party state, one party state. This one party would be the Communist Party. Okay? In this kind of a country, since there is only one political party, no elections are allowed, no elections are held. Since no elections are held, technically it's a dictatorship. On paper it's a dictatorship. The party is the government. The government identifies itself as the one that runs the country. That is, the government is a country. All organs of the state, judiciary, the press, when we say judiciary, security forces, intelligence agencies, all are under the control of the government. There is no independence. Like we have independence of judiciary in India, there is no independence of judiciary in a communist country. No freedoms are allowed. You cannot criticize the government in a communist country and expect to get away. Every move made by anyone in the country, any move against the government is scrutinized. Someone who is known to be a political dissident, someone who is critical of the government, is kept under a lens, and then if things go really bad, the person is taken away for arbitrarily detained, and judiciary then put in the subject to a farcical trial, because the trial is a fake trial. The court is established with the government, the judge is a government appointee. All this person who's arrested has no means of a fair trial. So he's put in jail, and sometimes people don't even take into court; they simply disappear. So Cuba had established, Fidel Castro had established that kind of a country in this, that kind of a system in Cuba. He also nationalized all businesses, all economic activity in Cuba was nationalized, put under the hands of the government, under the control of the government. At the same time, you need to understand that even the healthcare system came under the government. So every economic activity, every kind of activity except for what we say political activity was under the government. When I say except for political activity, because the government did not allow anyone else to participate in politics other than sanctioned by the government itself. So it was a very there was no individual rights, there were no freedoms, nothing was allowed. It is believed that while in the beginning the people of Cuba enjoyed this, some people didn't really take kindly to the abolition of their freedoms, in the name of establishing a classless society. So communist political system, socialist economic system. Socialism means class, complete ownership of all economic resources by the government. So what happened was this. This country, as you can see, was in the backyard of America, was in the backyard. You see at the foot, and just right below America. And America traditionally had been an anti-communist nation. Anti-communist nation. You need to appreciate the fact that America has always been anti-communist. In 1945, after the Second World War ended, the world was divided into more or less three blocks. Okay, one was the first world. It was called the the democratic world, first world led by the United States, second world or socialist world, socialist communist world led by the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, okay, and the third was the non-aligned nations, countries that had aligned neither to the United States nor to the interest of the Soviet Union. Non-aligned nations, these were more or less countries like India, Indonesia, countries like that. Yeah, a lot of countries actually, but primarily these two. Now, Cuba came under the influence of course, the Soviet Union. Came under the influence of Soviet Union. It was Soviet Union that gave Castro all kinds of help: economic help, political help, military help. So now, suddenly, the Americans found Cuba right in communism right in their backyard. They had done their best. They had been doing their best around the world to contain the spread of communism. The American policy of stopping the spread of communism was called containment. They did this around the world. Okay, this is one of the fundamental reasons why the Pakistanis were were taken under their wing by the United States to control the spread of communism. Okay, because they thought India was pro USSR anyway. Actually, apart from the other reasons, this was one of the fundamental reasons why they helped Pakistan so much. So the American plan of stopping communism, stopping the spread of communism, was called containment. The policy of containment. Now suddenly, America saw that this was dangerous. This disease of communism, they called disease, could spread to other parts of the Western Hemisphere, because in those days, Cuba was the only pure communist country in the Western Hemisphere. So, the Americans did something more now. America launched attacks on these guys. It is believed that Fidel Castro suffered 638 assassination attempts. How many? And I'm not kidding. This is true. The American intelligence agencies, especially the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, tried to kill Fidel Castro on 638 occasions. This is a Guinness Book of World Records. This is mentioned in the Guinness Book of World Records. The highest number of assassination attempts on his life were that of Fidel Castro. 638 assassination attempts. This man, ruled till from 1959 till 2008. 2008. Imagine that. Yeah, nearly 50 years he ruled the country. And during all these years, the Americans suffered, terribly. America could not do anything against this tiny country, against this man. And in the 50 years that he, ruled, nearly 50 years that Fidel Castro ruled, he saw 11 US presidents. He was there. Those guys had come and gone. 11 US presidents. Can you believe that? Yeah, it's like the British Queen. The British Queen, the current Queen Elizabeth II, had come in 1952, and she has been there. Even now she's there. Yeah. So that's some number, man. 1959 to 2008. So at the same time, let me tell you now one more thing, that he stepped aside because of age. He stepped aside. 2008, he steps aside. He gave the presidency and the position of the Communist Party Secretary General to his brother, Raul. What is his name? Raul. R-A-U-L. Raul Castro. Now there is something about this. About 3 days back, the American intelligence agencies declassified an event that happened in 1960. Okay. I follow these stories, what's happening in the past, what's happening now, declassification of secrets, all that stuff. I really love this. So it has come to light that the CIA had ordered the assassination of Raul Castro in 1960, just 1 year after communism came to Cuba. Raul Castro, the brother of Fidel Castro, had an attempt made on his life. How? He was flying from Prague. Have you heard of this place, Prague? It's currently the capital of this place called Czech Republic, but back in those days it was Soviet hold. It was a country called Czechoslovakia. Later in the late 1980s, Czechoslovakia, early 90s, the country of Czechoslovakia broke into two parts: Czech Republic, Slovakia. It was a peaceful revolution, okay, peaceful breakup. So Prague and Czechoslovakia was more or less a communist country in those days in 1960. So Raul had paid a visit to the communists in Czechoslovakia. On his way back, flying from Prague to Havana, the capital of Cuba, there was this flight pilot. His name was Jose Martinez. You don't require the name, but just remember Jose Martinez. He was a CIA. He was hired by the CIA. He was hired, HIRD, hired by the CIA to kill Raul Castro. How? They told Martinez, the CIA told Martinez that you should, make an accident happen. Make an accident happen on the plane. And for this, he was given $10,000, which was a lot of money way back in 1960. Okay, even today it's 25. It's 22% of America's per capita income, an average American per capita income today. Even today, think about 1960. It was huge money. He was offered $10,000 plus university education for his two sons. Means the entire education expenses of his sons was to be borne by the American government. If this guy would die in the process of making an accident happen, that would also kill Raul Castro. So the plane took off, but Americans developed cold feet, and message went that no, don't do that. But then by the time the Americans wanted to send that message, the plane had left the airspace, and it was for a long time, they could not communicate with the pilot. Finally, the pilot made it to Cuba, and the plane made it to Cuba, and then it is believed that Martinez told his handlers, they are called handlers, people who handle these guys, they are CIA handler, that I could not do it because I could never get an opportunity on the plane. So Raul also escaped an assassination in 1960. Think about it. Yeah, the guys have been there for so long. The Americans could not do anything. But 2 years after Castro came, one more incident I'll tell you. 2 years after Castro became the president of Cuba, America wanted to do something like, why not use an army, a group of anti-Castro Cubans themselves who had escaped to America after Castro came. A lot of Cubans had escaped to America. They didn't want to live under a communist country, no freedoms and all that. So they escaped. So let's train these guys. Let's train the anti-Castro Cubans, train them, arm them. Let's send them back to Cuba and attack Castro. Fair. The idea was that these guys would land at a place called Bay of Pigs. There is this place here called Bay of Pigs. Okay, these guys landed Bay of Pigs, Pigs. Pigs. These guys landed, but the Americans were to do one more thing. Along with these guys landing, these guys were to be supported by American Air Force bombing the Cuban Air Force, so that the Cubans would not come with their Air Force and army and everyone to attack these guys. How many of these guys were there? Anti-Cuban, anti-Castro Cubans? 1400 people, just 1400 people, armed, trained, funded by the CIA. They landed here, but the Americans again developed cold feet because they didn't want to be seen as someone who's attacking another country, communist country, because Cuba was backed by the nuclear USSR, nuclear country USSR. And America, USSR might get a handy excuse that, look, America, you started this war against our ally, so we are going to bomb you with a nuclear bomb. So it might start a nuclear war. The Americans didn't want that. So these guys landed. Americans didn't come to support them with their Air Force. Cuban army came, Cuban Air Force came, cleaned these guys up and took away, after killing a lot of them, took away the rest of them, put them in jail, and they rotted there. A lot of them died in jails. That is what, see, the Cubans still there, the Castro family still there, and it's quite different. So actually I wanted to tell you the story of Christopher Columbus also, but I think it's going to take a lot of time. Some other time I'll tell you the story of Christopher Columbus. There are a lot, my friends, that we can talk about. There's a lot. I just okay, चलो मैं आपको इस देशों के बारे में कुछ बताता हूँ. Okay, you see this country in yellow there. That's Brazil, as you know. Brazil is the biggest country in this part of the world. It's the 5th largest country in the world, and it's named after a particular kind of wood. You see this here, the capital here, Brasilia. Okay. The wood is called Pau Brasilia. Brasilia is also the capital. So Pau Brasilia is a kind of wood. This is all Amazon. It's a deep forest here. This is Venezuela, which in Spanish means Little Venice. Little Venice. Colombia is the only country in the world named after Christopher Columbus. Equator or Ecuador. Ecuador is a Spanish word for equator. You see, this is equator here. Peru. They've had a new president here in Peru then, and then Bolivia, it's named after Sam Bolivar, the guy who led the independence movement for these countries against Spain. Okay, and in Bolivia there is this city called La Paz, L-A-P-A-Z, two separate words. La Paz is the highest altitude capital in the world. It's among the capitals of the nation of different nations, it has located the highest altitude, La Paz. This is one of the narrowest countries in the world, Chile. Okay, and from north to south is about 3,400 kilometers, but east to west it's about, if I'm not wrong, the narrowest is 196 kilometers. And if you can see Argentina, this country's name comes from the name of an element, Argentinium. It's the only country in the world named after an element. Okay, Argentinium. Countries like France have given their names to elements like Francium, Poland, Polonium, German, Germanium. But Argentina's name comes from an element, Argentinium. And it's 8th largest country in the world. It's a little over 27 lakh square kilometer big, quite long, and this down south here, it's extremely cold, very, very cold. You would find the Patagonia cold desert here. This is pretty close to what you call Antarctica. Okay, I'll tell you about this part of the world later, but just one last thing. You see United States here, this is United States Alaska, and this is the Soviet Union. United States bought Alaska in the late 1850s from Russia. 1850s, 60s, early 60s, it bought from Russia for about $5 million. Okay, the entire thing here was Russian territory. It was purchased by United States. So America has 58 states here. These are 48 states here, 48 here. This is 49th, you can say, and 50 is Hawaii. यहाँ पे छोटा island state है Hawaii. That is United States. There's a lot to learn, my friends. I just wanted to tell you a story today. In any case, let me tell you a little about the presidents and leaders of some of these countries, not all maybe. And you could look at Argentina. Yeah, Argentina, the capital is Buenos Aires. Okay, and the president is a guy called Albert Fernandez. Peso is a currency. Peso. Peru, capital is Lima. The president is a new guy, Francisco Sagasti. And the currency is Sol, S-O-L. I think we discussed Mexico in the recent past. Anyway, चलो मैं आपको बताता हूँ. Mexico's capital is Mexico City, and the president is Manuel. It's a very big name, Manuel Obrador Perez. But anyway, just write Manuel Obrador. In some places you'll find an A here, which is okay. Chalo, next. Oh, we spent quite a good time here. Who has become the first woman chairperson of NASSCOM in its 30 years? What is NASSCOM? National Association, you could write this, National Association of Software and Service Companies. National Association of Software and Service Companies. National Association of Software and Service Companies. Rekha Menon is the first woman chairperson. This is chairperson and MD of Accenture India. Accenture India. Rekha Menon is the chairperson and managing director of Accenture India, the first woman chairperson of NASSCOM. She would be there for, of course, for the year 2021-22. Okay. Then, would you want to know who is this Roshni Nader Matala? You could write chairperson or CEO, HCL Tech. HCL Tech. एक काम करते हैं. Let's also write something more. She succeeds. Okay, the outgoing guy. She succeeds. Rekha Menon succeeds. U.B. Praveen Rao, Chief Operating Officer at Infosys. U.B. Praveen Rao, Chief Operating Officer, Infosys. Now that I mentioned chairperson, you should know the president of NASSCOM. Normally chairpersons in these, president runs the day-to-day affairs, is Debjani Ghosh. This person is the actual in charge. Runs NASSCOM on a day-to-day basis, but otherwise they are there to liaison on behalf of the industry with the government and all that. That's about it. Chica. For which of the following United Nations Economic and Social Council bodies was India recently elected? All of them. But why don't you write about each of these? Right, World Food Program. We will start from the third one. Please write World Food Program. World Food Program. First point. Head office, Rome. World's largest humanitarian organization. World's largest humanitarian organization. World's largest humanitarian organization. Next, world's largest provider of World's largest provider of school meals. School meals. Next. Executive Director or simply Chief. David Beasley, United States. David Beasley, United States. Last point. Winner of Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 or 2019, I think it is last year, 2020, last year, yeah. Nobel Peace Prize 2020. Nobel Peace Prize 2020. Okay, leave one line space, write the second one. UN Women. Normally it's written as UN Women, while the full name is UN Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women. But usually UN Women. Just write UN Women. Next, head office, New York City. New York City. And NYC. Next, chief is Fumjile Mlambo Nguka. Fumjile Mlambo Nguka. She is from South Africa, the Republic of South Africa. Last one. The United Nations Convention on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. So we have, you write this. I'm not going to repeat this. So Vienna, head office at Vienna, which is in Austria, as you know, the capital of Austria. And the chief is a very long name, but I'll cut it short. Jose, it's pronounced with an H. Jose Carvalho of Brazil. Jose Carvalho. Submarine Kiarai Nangala 402 that went missing recently belonged to the Indonesian Navy, my friends. It sank here. This is the island of Bali. It sank here, my friends. Okay, it sank here. This is the island of Bali. This is where it sank. Bali Sea, it's called. So the name, this name comes from the name of the spear of Bhagwan Balaram. Okay, you could write this named after the divine spear of Bhagwan or Prabhu Bhagwan Balaram, the elder brother of Bhagwan Sri Krishna. Why you would say this is, see, Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim country, but it was a Hindu country to begin with. It was a Hindu Sanatana Dharma country. Okay, and then Buddhist, and then of course Islamic country. You could write a little about this. See, these are all even today. I'll just let me they're all Buddhist. These are all Buddhist. This is completely Buddhist. Okay. This is Muslim. Southern Thailand. This is Thailand. This yellow thing, Thailand. This is all Muslim. Islam here. This country called Brunei is Islamic country. This is all Islam. Okay. This is Roman Catholic country, and there is this country called East Timor here, which is also Roman Catholic. This is predominantly Christian and Buddhist. Thailand is predominantly Christian and Buddhist. Japan is predominantly Buddhist. China is predominantly Buddhist. So these are all Hindu in the past, this entire area. These are all Hindu and Buddhist. See, I would want to tell you something here. It's less about religion, more about culture that I am discussing. Indonesia, you could say world's biggest archipelago. World's biggest archipelago. 2-3 things you can write about Indonesia. Capital, Jakarta. President, Joko Widodo. Currency rupiah. Then you write world's largest archipelago. Archipelago is group of islands. More than 17,000 islands. More than 17,000 islands are there in Indonesia. Next, world's 4th most populous country. World's 4th most populous country. Populous, Populous, populous. And world's most populous, 4th most populous country, and most populous Muslim country. Most populous Muslim country. So overall 4th most populous. Why would 4th? Its population is about 26.6 crore, 26.5 crore. United States in 3rd place, 31 crores. India in the 2nd place, about 135. China 140 in the 1st place. So Indonesia 4th most populous. Okay. Now that I mentioned this, I would also like to tell you that Indonesia, while it's the world's largest archipelago, it has more than 17,000 islands. You could also write world's biggest island country. World's biggest island country. World's biggest island country. So this country will see, if you look at the names, rupiah. Jakarta comes from Jakarta. It's a corruption actually. Lot of this all Hindu. In fact, their currency notes also have the names of some Hindu god, pictures of Hindu gods also. They, Thailand, Indonesia, and all these, they still have, they have retained a lot of their cultural past. Okay. Shall I tell you about Thailand? Yes, there is a choice here. Thailand here. Okay. And Thailand's capital, as you would know, is Bangkok. It's a monarchy, constitutional monarchy. There is a prime minister also, but the king's name is Maha Vajira Longkorn. One name. Vajira Longkorn is one name. Maha Vajira Longkorn, Rama the 10th. Official name is Rama the 10th. Currency is Baht. The king's name is Maha Vajira Longkorn Rama the 10th. The currency is Baht. It's said to be the only Asian country to have never been occupied by any foreign country. Now you may wonder why. Were these guys, the Rajas here, very powerful? No. The Brits were here. Britain was here in Burma and all this place. Okay. The French were here. This is called Indochina by France. Okay. This area, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. So the Brits and the French decided not to fight here. They had been fighting everywhere in the world. So they said that here too we should not fight. What we can do is have a no man's land. Have a territory that will not be occupied by either power. And that is how Thailand became a no man's land between Britain and France and thus escaped foreign occupation. The imperial rivalry, the colonial rivalry between two European powers saved Thailand. Yeah. Oh, I love history. I love history and of course everything that's knowledge. Some of the time, some other country will take you for there. The first player to score 6,000 runs in the history of the Indian Premier League is this man here, Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli. See, the top 5 top run getters in the IPL, Indian Premier League. There are 4 in the top 5. There are only the number 4 is a foreigner. See, this is the first guy, number 1. The second highest is Suresh Raina. He is number 3. If I'm not wrong, number 3 is Shikhar Dhawan. He is not mentioned here. Number 3 is Shikhar Dhawan, highest run getters. 4 is it's not mentioned here, David Warner. Okay, and number 5 would be Rohit Sharma. Number 5 is Rohit Sharma. So if you look at the runs, basically only Virat Kohli has scored more than 6,000 runs. But if you look at the rest, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all have scored between 5,400 and 5,500. All of them. You know that 2, 3, 4, 5 in those places have scored between 54 and 5,500 runs. This is the data that is that works till yesterday, 28th April. This is 29th April. Tomorrow you would have a session. I think today is 29th April. Yes. So till yesterday, this is the data. Virat Kohli has scored a little over 6,000 runs. You know what? He also has scored 5 centuries. 5 centuries, and that would make him the number 2. In the case of centuries, let me just tell you IPL centuries. Okay, 6 and 5. 6 is Virat Kohli. 5 is Virat Kohli. 6 is Chris Gayle. Chris Gayle, the universal boss. Chris Gayle also holds the record for the maximum number of player of the match, 21 times. He also holds the record for the fastest century. He scored a century of 30 balls. He also holds the record for the highest score, IPL score, 175 runs of 66 deliveries. Crazy man, isn't it? Yeah, he is crazy. In fact, I have always liked him. It's always good to be eccentric. People are weird, just like you and me. We are all weird, aren't we? According to you, I'm weird. The way I talk sometimes, the way I show some things weird. We're all weird. This guy Virat Kohli has scored 40 50s, 50 off centuries. He has scored 40. And this is the same as Rohit Sharma. He's there. Rohit Sharma. Same as Rohit Sharma. Okay. So this guy. And who has scored the most number of most 50s? Any idea? Just think about it. Most 50s have been scored by David Warner. David Warner. He has scored 50 50s. 50 off centuries. Number 2, if I'm not wrong, is this guy, our Shikhar Dhawan. In the second place would be Shikhar. This is one. Shikhar Dhawan and AB de Villiers. ABD we call him. ABD has, both of them have scored 43 each. I normally remember these ranks though, these numbers, because even though I don't watch much of IPL. I'm a cartoon guy. I love to watch cartoons and not IPL actually. चलिए हम यहाँ से चलते हैं आगे. Two guys. Fintech, financial technology startup, Pay has. This is a medium that helps us, that connects the payer and the where we pay, to who we pay or whatever we pay. This is a medium. They provide the technology that enables financial payments. That has raised, Razorpay has raised $160 million in a Series E funding, whatever was founded by Razorpay has been founded by two guys, Harshil Mathur and Shashank Kumar. These are the two guys, Harshil and Shashank. Okay, now what about these guys? Sri Harsha Majeti. You could write Swiggy, co-founder of Swiggy. He is CEO and co-founder and CEO, and co-founders. We can just add two more. Rahul. You can write Rahul Jaimini. Swiggy is huge. Rahul Jaimini and Nandan Reddy. So three guys co-founded Swiggy. Sri Harsha Majeti, who is also the CEO, Rahul Jaimini and Nandan Reddy. Okay, I like to give some extra stuff when we have a choice to which we can add value. We should be adding value. So these days you see this Zomato ad, that comes while, especially when we watch this IPL match and all that. And in the Zomato ads, you find the co-founders. These guys come on TV and they tell us that ordering food is quite safe. We have delivered. Our delivery partners have have delivered crores of orders last year. So go ahead, order your favorite food. That's what they tell us. India's CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, Girish Chandra Murmu, has been chosen as external auditor by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. This is an organization that's based in the Hague, Netherlands. You could write Hague, Netherlands. Okay, Hague, Netherlands, and you could write you could write Secretary General or Chief, simply Chief Fernando Arias. Fernando Arias. And at point I just saw one of the three lights in the room. One light has gone bad, so there could be a dim factor in the recording. Don't worry, I'm not very important. What I tell you, what I share with you is very important. Okay. This is we were discussing the OPCW. Fernando Arias is the Secretary General of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, which is headquartered in The Hague, the Netherlands. And you could also write one more thing. Winner of 2013 Nobel Peace Prize. Winner of OPCW is the 2013 winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. And one more thing you could write is implementation agency. What does it do actually? Implementation agency of the Chemical Weapons Convention. The Chemical Weapons Convention. The Chemical Weapons Convention dash goal is a complete elimination. Complete elimination of chemical weapons. Complete elimination of chemical weapons. That's what OPCW does. Okay, one more thing you could write, leave one line space, write this CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Write this. Dash. Highest audit officer. Audit. AUDIT. Audit officer. It's there now. Auditor. Highest audit officer of the government of India. Of India. Highest audit officer of India. Of India. Dash. Continue. Dash. Audits the books of accounts of. Audits the books of accounts of government ministries, comma, departments, all government departments, comma, public sector enterprises, and private companies, comma, if necessary. In the case of private companies, if necessary. Private companies, if necessary. Okay. Who is the first Indian woman to scale Annapurna Peak, the world's 10th highest peak? Priyanka Mohite. Oh, this photo hasn't come out well. Extremely brave woman. Yeah, she's a classical trained dancer. She's a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. Look what people do. What bravery. What extraordinary courage. Because why Annapurna? See, I'll tell you why I have mentioned this. It's the height of this peak is 91 meters. That's a little over 26,500 feet. And I was reading about Annapurna Peak. Beautiful name, na? Annapurna Peak. It's actually it's what's called Annapurna Massif. There are a lot of peaks in this, and this is the highest peak in the Annapurna Massif. You know, this particular, what is called 8,000er means a mountain that has a height of more than 8,000 meters. This particular mountain has a summit to fatality ratio of 1:3.1. That is, take 1.3, which means for every 3 persons who have climbed the mountain, who reach the summit, one has died attempting it. That's 1/3. For every two persons, one person has died. So out of 3, one person has died. That's a huge fatality rate, my friends. But our Priyanka Mohite has been extraordinarily brave. She's there. Amazing, isn't it? I'm always fascinated by this entire idea of courage. There is this old saying, courage is the thing. Courage is the thing. I read it years back. Courage is the thing. All goes if courage goes. If courage goes. All goes if courage goes. Which private sector bank recently acquired minority equity stake of about 9%? Equity is capital basically in the Bengaluru based non-banking financial company TechFino Capital Private Limited. What's the answer? DCP Bank. DCP is a Development Credit Bank. I think we mentioned this yesterday. In the previous session, I have mentioned about all these banks. Didn't I mention? Yes, I did. Development Credit Bank. Development Credit Bank. The chairperson is Nasir Munji. If I am not wrong, Nasir Munji is the chairperson, not the CEO. Cub is Dr. N. Kamakodi. I think चलो कोई बात नहीं, लिख लेते हैं. फेडरल बैंक श्याम श्रीनिवासन This is a Kerala based bank. Sandeep Bakshi, Axis Bank. Amitabh Chaudhary. Amitabh Chaudhary. The concept of net zero banking alliance was in news recently. Which of the following statements is true? All of them are true. I'm going to give you some notes. Please write this. That will help. Okay, you please write this. Net zero banking alliance. Net zero banking alliance. Underline that. First point. Brings together 43 banks from 23 nations full stop. These 43 banks together manage 28.5 trillion dollars in assets. 28.5 trillion dollars in assets. Huge bank. That's a lot of money, man. Yeah. Next. These banks have committed to align their lending and investment portfolio with net zero emissions by 2050. The notes I gave, I took it from the United Nations Environment Program Finance Initiative website. Okay, these 2 points I've given you, I took it from there. Which country was recently validated by the World Health Organization for having eliminated trachoma as a public health problem, making it the second African country to achieve this milestone? This is very good actually. Gambia. You know where is Gambia? Yeah, you see this here? Gambia. You must say, you see this here? This tiny stretch here, like a worm. Yeah, this is Gambia. I was surprised when I first, when I was a child, I was always fascinated with maps. See, this is Gambia, this is a very tiny country surrounded by Senegal on all sides with an outlet to the sea, of course. The capital, of course, is, I'll tell you before, trachoma, what is trachoma and all that. You just write Gambia. Capital, Banjul. And the president is this guy called Adama Barrow. The currency is Dalasi. Okay. Dalasi. This is the second African country. Which is the first African country? Any idea? You could write. This is second African country, 2021. First to eliminate trachoma, Ghana, 2018 if I'm not wrong. Ghana, 2018. First to eliminate trachoma, 2018. This is Ghana. You see this Ghana here? Yeah. You write trachoma. What is trachoma? A bacterial eye infection. A bacterial eye infection that damages eyelids. That damages eyelids and causes 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 eyelashes to turn inwards, The eyelashes turn inward, my friends. Oh, it's terrible, my friends. Chart we mentioned yesterday. No? In fact, in the previous session we discussed this in the charts scapula, as you can see here, and the Gemana. Yeah. I think, yeah. See, just a second now, let me clear this. Gemina, Muhammad Devi Itno. That's a new president. Currency is franc. Currency is not required everywhere. Okay. Nigeria, you can see there. It's in the map there and down there. Nigeria's capital is Abuja. This is Abuja. This is the biggest city. Lagos is not mentioned. It's here. The president is Muhammadu Buhari. Naira is a currency. Kenya is down there in the right, bottom right. You can see here Kenya. Okay. Kenya's capital is Nairobi. President is Uhuru Kenyatta. And if I'm not wrong, the currency is shilling. I think I'm right here, shilling. Algeria, the biggest country in Africa. This is not the biggest country in Africa. The area is about, I think, 23.8 some lakh square kilometers something. Yeah, I'm not very sure. It's a little over 23 lakh square kilometers. And Algeria, no? The capital is Algiers. At the right, at the top of the country. Here you see Algiers here. These are all deserts. So this is Algiers. President is Abdel Majid Tebboune. Okay, I'll write Tebboune here. Abdel Majid Tebboune. And the currency is dinar, Algerian dinar, DINAR, dinar. Chaliye. Amazon and Google have recently been selected to provide cloud services to the government as part of its massive Nimbus project. Israeli government has selected this. What is Nimbus? What's a Nimbus? Nimbus just like it's a disc behind the head. It's kind of a halo. In the images of gods, we find disc behind, just behind the head. That gives a certain glow to the gods. That's called Nimbus. But in this case, it's the name of a project. You could write if you want to write. The idea is to provide. It's a cloud, project, cloud services project, wherein these companies will establish cloud data operations within the country, servers and everything. So all the Israeli government data belonging to the public sector and the military will be stored within the country, because Israel has a strict data policy. All data must be stored within the country. So in India, against India, WhatsApp and all these companies may say something that you are violating freedoms and all that. Companies have freedom of operations and all. But when it comes to Israel, China, they bend backwards to please those countries. If we are strong, they cannot do anything, my friends. It's a large market, a huge market. So you have, if you want to write, I can tell you Israeli this Nimbus project dash cloud services to store data of Israeli public sector and military, full stop. That's enough here. We don't have to discuss the data policy of the government of Israel. I think we've been discussing this. I think companies like Amazon. Just to tell you, Amazon is the world's biggest internet company. It's world's biggest internet company. It is headquartered in Seattle. Seattle is in Washington State of America. Washington State, United States. So Jeff Bezos is a CEO, chairman CEO. New CEO will come later. Google, I'll just tell you co-founder. Okay, headquarters Mountain View, California, United States. The town of Mountain View in the state of California, United States. Co-founded by Sergey Brin, and what's his name? Sergey Brin and Larry or Lawrence Page. Larry Page. Earth Day is observed on 22nd April every year to raise awareness of the Earth's environment. The theme this year is Restore Our Earth. Okay, this is April 22nd. Then we have Water Day, which is March 22nd. Okay. Then some national days of India. National Sports Day, August 29th. Birthday of Dhyan Chand. Actually Dhyan Chand होना चाहिए, ये ध्यान चंद नहीं है. See, he was in the army, Indian Army, and back in those days the grounds and all that did not, I'm talking of pre-independence, didn't have lighting facilities and everything. So in the day he would do the duty, and in the night he would come out to practice, and he used to practice under moonlight. That's why Dhyan Chand. His Dhyan Singh became Dhyan Chand. Okay, it's not Chand, Chand. Okay, National Sports Day of India, August 29th. One more we could write, National Math Day, Mathematics Day, December 22nd. Birthday of the great Srinivasan Ramanujan. Srinivasan Ramanujan. Some additional stuff. Blue Nature Alliance was recently launched to protect 18 billion square kilometers of the ocean over the next 5 years. Which of the following is a part of the... Now, about this question, there is hardly anything to discuss because everything is mentioned. Why was it launched? Who are the members? Everything is here mentioned. Yeah. But remember, blue nature. Blue relates to water, nature. So it's about ocean conservation. Ocean conservation, primarily to do with conservation of life in ocean. Okay. Just one thing. The answer is already there. But you see this Walton here? This Walton is a family that owns the world's largest company, Walmart. Walmart. This was started by a man called Samuel Walton. Samuel Walton, Rob Walton's father. Samuel Walton, see this Wall, surname Wall, Mart means market. Samuel Walton started Walmart as a departmental store. Today it's the world's biggest company on earth. It's the world's biggest company. The turnover last year, if I'm not wrong, was something like $519 billion, my friends. Okay, this is headquartered in a place called Bentonville. Have you heard of this place? Bentonville in the American state of Arkansas. This family owns this company, the Walton family, brothers and sisters. Arkansas, the S is silent, the last S is silent, Arkansas. Okay? It's also, this Walmart is also the world's biggest private sector employer. It employs a little over 22 lakh people. It's the world's richest family. The Walton family is the world's richest family. Which nation has launched its first ever mega food park and food processing unit in Gujarat? India. Italy. Italy. You could write this. Italy is, the name of the mega food project is, it's called Mega Food Park. The name is Mega Food Park. You could write this. Italy's Mega Food Park launched at or started at or set up at Mundirda village. Mundirda village, Mehsana district, Gujarat. See, food processing is a very large business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. You know, I mean, if you just look at since 2000, since the year 2000, India has attracted $7.5 billion FDI in food processing. In food processing, yeah, India has attracted $7.5 billion of investment, foreign investment. It contributes to about of all the industrial investment in India, 6% is in this sector. 6% is in this sector. So 6% of total industrial investment in India has gone to the food processing sector. 6%. We want some data, you could write this. 6%. And 13% of Indian exports. 13% of Indian exports. 13% of Indian exports come from food processing sector. 13% of Indian exports come from food processing sector. So let me tell you something now. Let me repeat. Since 2000, $7.5 billion of foreign investment has come into the sector. Of all the total, 6% of the total industrial investment has gone into this particular sector, and about 13% of India's exports, comprise food processing stuff. Isn't that a lot? It is. Which public sector lender entered into pact with the Chennai-based angel investment group, the Chennai Angels, for financing startups under the bank's loan product called Ind Spring Board, Indian Bank. You could write this. What does this Ind Spring Board do? You could write this. Indian Bank plus Chennai Angels. Chennai Angels, underline that first point. Right. Extend credit facilities. Extend credit facilities of up to rupees 50 crore of up to rupees 50 crore of up to rupees 50 crore for working capital requirement and acquiring fixed assets So this is the basic idea. You know who's the CMD of Indian Bank? Padmaja Chunduru. SBI Dinesh Khara. Canara Bank Lingam Venkata Prabhakar. Union Bank of India Raj Kiran Rai. Central Bank of India Matam Venkatarao. Cool, yeah. All banks have come. Which nation has topped the 2021 World Press Freedom Index? See, these are all arbitrary measures. I'm not a great fan of these kinds of indexes. Very frankly, your teacher Bharat, my name is Bharat C. Jain. These are all things that are arbitrary. They don't come down. And they interview few journalists in India, and they say that this is how freedom in India is. So anyway, the top 5 countries, if you want to write, you could write this title here: World Press Freedom Index. First point, report made by Reporters Without Borders. Next, second point, top 5 Norway, number 1 Norway. 2 Finland. 3, what is this country? Sweden. 4 Denmark. 5 Costa Rica. 5 Denmark. Last 3 ranks. They ranked 179 countries. The last was North Korea, of course. 178 was, what is this one? North Korea, uske baad Turkmenistan. I mentioned this in the previous session that Turkmenistan is a dictatorship. Turkmenistan 177 is China, bottom 3. Okay. India has been ranked dash in the 2021 World Press Freedom Index 142nd. So that's why I did not give India rank 142nd. See, India is a country where people can write anything against the government. Yet, people say there is no freedom in India. And I am surprised at this. Actually. Yeah. But then, freedom is always a personal issue. What is the upper limit prescribed by the RBI for housing loans in other centers? This is important. In other centers under the priority sector lending PSL norms. So you could write in your books. So this is 25 lakhs anyway the answer. You write this. Housing under PSL. Housing under PSL norms. Please write this. Housing under PSL norms. First point. Loans to individuals up to rupees 35 lakh in metropolitan areas in brackets above 10 lakh population, metropolitan areas above 10 lakh population, and rupees 25 lakh in other centers. So loans to individuals up to rupees 35 lakh in metropolitan areas, in brackets population of more than 10 lakh, and up to rupees 25 lakh in other centers. Okay, next point. This is provided if the overall cost of the housing unit in metro and other centers, in metros and other centers does not exceed rupees 45 lakh and rupees 30 lakh respectively. Rupees 45 lakh and rupees 30 lakh respectively. So that money the housing loan comes only if the housing maximum limit is 35 lakhs in a city like Hyderabad, let's say, but the cost of the house should not exceed 45 lakh rupees. So loan maximum is 35 lakhs, provided the house's cost is not more than 45 lakhs. And if it's a small city, let's say a city like Koraput, population of less than 10 lakh. Not Koraput, let's say, area like Koraput and all that, Mau, small places like Ratlam, Neemach, the house's cost should not exceed 30 lakhs and the maximum loan is 25 lakh rupees. In Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, loan applicants under the Tarun category can avail up to, okay, the answer is not, it's not highlighted, but this is the answer. What is mudra? You could write this first point. Mudra, micro units development and refinance agencies. I'm so sorry guys. Refinance agency. I'm so sorry. Micro units development and refinance agency. That's the full form of Mudra. The government of India launched this scheme to promote entrepreneurship because employment is always a tricky business and business is encouraged so that an entrepreneur, you start something on your own, you could employ people. That to a large extent can solve the problem of unemployment in the long run, and more productivity happens of course when people work for themselves. There are three kinds. Next point, under mudra three kinds of loans are available. One, you could write one, Sishu dash up to rupees 50,000 up to rupees 50,000, up to rupees 50,000 to Kishore up, between 50,000 and 5 lakh, between 50,000 and 5 lakh, between 50,000 and 5 lakh. And 3, Tarun between 5 and 10 lakhs, between 5 and 10 lakhs. Between 5 and 10 lakhs. So, you know how much money has been disbursed? I was shocked to know this on the website. I went to Mudra website and I found this data. Please write this. In financial year 2021, okay, 2021, below that, right? Loans sanctioned. How many loans have been sanctioned? Loans sanctioned applications. 4.33 crore. 4.33 crore. Next, just give me just second point. Amount disbursed. Sorry, amount sanctioned. Amount sanctioned. 2,79,000 crore rupees. One year. That's the money that has been sanctioned. You can find all this data on the website. You can find all this data on the website. The RBI has notified the linking of lending rates to external benchmark. In this context, from which of the following external benchmarks are banks allowed to choose? 1, 2, 3, all of them actually. Repo rate, you know what is repo rate? Rate of interest, you can write. Repo rate dash rate of interest charged by RBI on short-term loans. Rate of interest charged by RBI on short-term loans to commercial banks. Next, now you see this there. FBIL, Financial Benchmarks India Private Limited. You write FBIL dash Financial Benchmarks, India Private Limited. Okay, this is FBIL. Now you write one more thing. Joint venture between Indian Banks Association, comma, I'm writing the short form, you write the full forms, okay? FEDI, Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, and fixed income money market, and derivatives association of India. Fixed income, money market, and Derivatives Association of India. Association of India. So this FBI is promoted by these three organizations. Okay, as of now it's notified linking. Let us see how it works. Which of the following has been launched by the National Payments Corporation of India to revolutionize the mobile banking payment system in India? Unified Payments Interface, UPI. UPI. एक काम करते हैं, in the next session I will tell you about payment systems, NT, NEFT, RTGS, all that stuff. Okay, UPI and all that. Chaliye, we will discuss that in the class, NPCL and all that, NPCI and all. At the 67 National Film Awards, which state bagged the award for the most film-friendly state? Sikkim. Film-friendly means tax-free. Easy to permissions are easier to to seek, all that stuff. That's it. India's smallest state by population. Smallest state by population. This is smallest state by area. And I think you know the chief ministers here. Sikkim, Prem Singh Tamang. Prem Singh Tamang. Uddhav Thackeray, Maharashtra. Uddhav Thackeray, India's third biggest state by population, by area. Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy. Telangana, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Goa, Pramod Sawant. Pramod Sawant. Zia has won the All England. This is a repeat question, I think. Yeah, All England Open tournament. This is a badminton championship. To which country does he belong? Malaysia. He belongs to Malaysia. If I'm not wrong, he defeated Victor Axelsen in the final, and Victor Axelsen belongs to Denmark. This tournament happened in Birmingham, UK. Okay, yeah. The Indian Air Force participated for the first time in exercise Desert Flag 6th, held in March 2021. The annual exercise is hosted by the United Arab Emirates. This is the UAE, Emirat, United Arab Emirate. We say Emirate is in Arabic Emirat. 7 Emirats kingdoms came together to form this country. That's why United Arab Emirat. There are 7 kingdoms here. You can see this. This is Oman, and you see this in same color, Oman color here, there at the top. This is owned by Oman. Okay, so United Arab Emirates, UAE. You can write capital is Abu Dhabi. The president is Khalifa Zayed Al Nahyan. Al Nahyan is the president. Khalifa Al Nahyan. The currency is dirham. Saudi Arabia, the largest country in this part of the world. The capital is Riyadh. King Salman. And the currency is Riyal. Bahrain's king is, the capital is, okay, let me clear this first. It could be pictured out there. Bahrain's capital is Manama. It's a very small country, about 780 square kilometer, pretty small one. It's actually an island, yeah, though connected to Saudi Arabia through a bridge causeway. Manama is the capital. The king is Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Full name Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. I'll just keep it Hamad bin Isa. Isa was his father's name, so Hamad bin means son of Isa. Okay. The currency is dinar, Bahraini dinar. Kuwait, capital is Kuwait City. The new king is Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Sabah Al Zabar, but I know fail. Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Sabah. Currency is dinar, Kuwaiti dinar. Oman, this is Oman. Oman's capital is Muscat. What is it? Muscat, M-U-S-C-A-T. I'll just write it at the top for want of space. Muscat. The king is Haytham bin Tariq Al Sayyid. That's a family name. Haytham bin Tariq Al Sayyid, and the currency is Riyal. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Thank you. Oh, it's little more than 1.5 hours. Thanks for your patience. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you learned a few good things today. Thank you and stay curious.